the provenance of that book is pretty unique in itself. I actually did spend about 2 weeks going back to Hollywood and Los Angeles for the first time in a couple of years to screen a film of mine. And I did base a lot of what I was going through. I did base the book on a lot of what I was going through right then. In fact, filled an entire notebook and mailed it off to my literary agent in New York, not even really thinking anything about it or reading it or doing anything other than, hey, check this out, which is something I've actually done before. Sometimes I will write solely just for fun, to give me something to do. So that particular project was totally personal, totally intimate. I didn't think anyone would ever read it or see it. It somewhat surprises me that I like what I wrote and that other people seem to like what I've written. And I think that sometimes that's the best kind of material. I think a lot of what the Beats did was very much that way. You see Ginsberg talking all the time about Howl and saying he was totally surprised and baffled that Time magazine thought he had something to say, or Kerouac. A lot of these guys almost seem confused by their success because they were just writing for each other and for themselves, and then boom, suddenly they're changing the entire cultural landscape. I'm not saying that that's what this book is going to do. That would be great, of course. Everyone wants that in some regard. And it really was just something I wrote for myself. It was for fun, something I write sometimes just when I'm nervous or to relax. It is a hobby for me as well as sometimes a vocation, which is really exciting. But basically, it was loosely based on a trip I took to Los Angeles about a year ago, showing us a film of mine about a group of disabled rock musicians in a band that actually does exist called the Kids of Whitney High, of which I'm very proud of them and of the movie. They were great friends, and they still are. And I just wrote, about a lot of the feelings I was having, and I was incorporating some of those experiences I was having and people I knew, and seeing the world crumbling in a way that was almost funny and was sad and tragic, but comedic in a way, simply by merit of the fact that now and then we were all just going through some very difficult times. Friends of mine, parents of friends of mine, other family members, people on the street that I would see. It seems like we're all having this very apocalyptic fear, and with the economy the way it is, and politics and geopolitics and the environment, just so much is really colluding, and it was creating in me this almost cartoonish alternative reality where anything could happen. And I wrote it all down, and it's now a book, and something that I think is pretty good, and that some other people I know have thought pretty good. So we'll see what happens to it. It's short, sweet, and I do think it has that element of, the Subterraneans and Day of the Locusts, and just a nice, short little piece about a young man going back home and this rapid-fire 2-week adventure through everyday life. And what I really would hope that this material does is helps people. And I think that one way of doing that is by diving as deeply as possible into the true depths of terror and misery and all the horrible things. Again, I think that's why people like Robert Crumb and Woody Allen are not just successful, but are so important and have really changed people's lives and opened up their eyes, made them want to make their own films or books or comic books or whatever it is. And I hope that this does that too. So I was having that kind of down and out in Hollywood type of feel, that sort of Orwellian aspect that I haven't really seen represented too well, if at all, in film, TV, or writing. So I hope that this contributes to that other people will feel a universal sensibility in the writing. They either will or they won't, or maybe they'll think, again, I'm a cocky asshole, but that's cool too. So whatever it might be, I just hope they get a laugh out of it and maybe learn something and feel a little bit better about their own lives wherever it's going.